to present a program on the Ohio Night Stalkers in search of Bigfoot. So, guys, introduce yourself and start the program. Thank you for all attending.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you to Dia Thomas and the staff for having us out, helping us out, get all this stuff set up. We appreciate it. We appreciate you all coming out. You know, we know gas prices are high, but you know, Bigfoot is important. And hello to all you people at home. You might be comfortable eating your own snacks, but guess what? We're giving away free prizes and you get none. Zero. Zip. Anyway, the Ohio Night Stalkers. And we'll get going right here.
Night is not something to endure until dawn. It is an element like wind or fire. Darkness is its own kingdom. It moves to its own laws, and many living things dwell in it.
Can you take some of the lights down a little bit? We creep some people out.
You want them all the way? No, if I go all the way, you will be really in the dark. Is that good? Is that creepy enough?
This is dark.
Oh, this is dark. Well, that's right, you're the night stalker, just creep around in the dark.
That's right, we're used to this. And let's kind of tell you about.
Night Stalkers, stalking the night, but not in a creepy way.
Not in a creepy way. This is our good friend Bob Gimlin. You know him? Harrison Gimlin fell. He's got a little short introduction for us.
Pay attention to these Ohio Night Stalkers. Hey, they're doing a great job, and they're just doing a great job out there, and they're presenting a lot of evidence that we really need in this field. And so pay attention to the Ohio Night Stalkers. They're doing a great job.
Bob is 90 years young right now.
There's three right in front of you.
Okay, this is, how many of you people in here seen us on Tearing the Woods or These Woods Are Haunted? That program, okay? We always, if I gotta go home and watch it, but you save the best for last. We got some of our most incredible audio from that night, and that's what we saved for the last. Those audio clips since that show was been on the air and everything. Those clips have been analyzed by a man named David Ellis, who is a professional sound analyst out of Washington State, and he said that we recorded known animal in North America, and that one of those recordings actually pegged higher than a baboon on the spectrograph. Now, mind you that, this happened a couple of years ago. Probably 5, maybe 10 miles at the most from that location from 2014. Different area, and they lit us up with rocks. What we had done is we went into this area, and we usually set in the dark. I know on the TV show they showed us with flashlights. We do not do that. Set up with a red light, and then we go totally dark. Anyway, we're here at this location for about a good 45 minutes or so, talking normal voice. Nothing happened, and then one of our colleagues has one of the kick butts sound call blaster things. Anyway, we call blasted a wolfhound. Nothing happened, just to break up the monotony. Waited a few minutes and we call blasted wolves howl. And that caused something to happen. Less than 10 minutes later, this first audio, kind of hard to hear and it gets louder. This thing where we were parked and set up at, there was a little bit of a landing and then a straight drop. Then there was a high ridge going up over here and kind of a valley and a ridge behind us. And this thing actually was up on the ridge, but actually moved closer back towards us and down. And, you know, deer don't do that. In one of the other lectures, someone said that's an owl. Could be, we don't think so, because maybe 20 minutes after this happened, the rocks started flying. Here we go. I think it sounds like a given month. went on for a while, then it quit. Mind you, we're sitting there in the dark. What I think happened that night is I think the real audio of wolves howling, I think scared one of their young ones. That was in distress. And then not even 20 minutes later, the adults showed up. They didn't find wolves or coyotes there. They found us. And this first rock you're going to hear actually hit, we have a 22-inch parabolic microphone, and it's set up on top of my Jeep. It actually hit the parabolic dish, steered across the roof of my Jeep and down to the moonroof that I had open. Here's the reaction to that. That's the same area during the daytime. Put some apples out, started saying, hey, we're your friend.
You want to bet? It's here in the scoreboard. I'm not. Holy shit.
Can't take him anywhere.
Is this in Ohio?
Yes, it is. Adams County, Ohio.
What county?
Adams County, Ohio, close to Shawnee State Forest. And then this happened. This here. He's going, come on, man. So there's one more thing happened that night before that we got out of there. We don't have it recorded, of course, because we had packed up and we're getting ready to leave. I'm actually in front of his vehicle. He's still putting stuff away, so I don't really know why they didn't throw it at him. My son is in the car. Cody, team member is with us. We're sitting there. My moonroom's still open. Now, skeptic's going to say you're full of you know what. If this really happened, swear to God, we're sitting there ready to leave, and I'm looking down at my phone because some of our friends are texting like, hey, what's going on? What's going on? And I'm kind of telling them what had happened that night. And while I'm sitting there messing with my phone, because there's hardly any signal, all of a sudden, there's this explosion inside my Jeep. And what had happened is they had scooped up a rock that had like a dirt ball around it. So when this thing came through the roof, and I'm not saying it did it on purpose like it's Michael Jordan, I'm just saying it threw, and luck of whatever, it came through, it hit the dash, it damaged my dash. When the thing exploded, I'm looking down, I'm thinking, oh my God, my windshield's gone. So I kind of wait for the stuff to quit falling, and I look up, I'm like, hey, my windshield's still there. And I look over at my son and Cody, are coated with dirt and the rocks on the floorboard again. So we got 2 rocks out of that night. But we got out of there, but I got out of the car, I was kind of a little mad, and I yelled, we're effing leaving. So he's still out of his car. He thought I was yelling at him because he wouldn't get ready fast enough. And I'm like, no, they just threw a rock came in. But that was rock night 1. And of course, in a couple of weeks, we're going back because, we're not too bright. This is rock night 2, and they were even madder this night, and we didn't even have to call blast. We basically went to this location, sat up, started talking, normal voice in the dark, and it wasn't even, 15 minutes, and they started bombarding us. The actual road, that was beautiful. So the coyotes up in the background.
Was that some of the coyotes that just did that?
These areas always look better in the daytime. This next rock landed between me and his wife Pam. Oh, hit my baby.
Okay.
Good light on.
One is right over there by me and Mike. I mean, what is
Cody or Jeff the one that threw the rock back in at him?
Cody.
Yeah, Cody threw a rock back into the woods, and then this happened. You'll hear it hit, hits the windshield really loud, damaged his vehicle, and while we're talking back and forth, it's hard to hear. I'll try to raise my hand. There's a moment when you hear that's another rock they threw that went like in between all of us. But it didn't hit us in the noggin or anything, so that was good.
Turn the light off.
Jumped over it. The last rock that hit, we kind of were like sitting there, nothing was going on, kind of started dozing off, and Angie was actually asleep and hit. She was the one kind of hyperventilated. Sure, I'll know that. Okay, that was all of Rock Night 2. Now, since we've been there since this, we were just there a couple weeks ago.
Just this past weekend, Memorial Day weekend.
And we had more rock action. We haven't looked through the audio yet, but they are still there, and they are still not happy. And now it's time for Mike Feltner to tell you how he got into all this.
Give him a round of applause, please. Well, we'll touch on how we kind of got started. I have been a Bigfoot researcher. This will be my 24th year being a cryptozoologist. I'm almost hitting 25. I've been doing this a long time. This book is very, very good. My aunt and uncle lived in the upper part of Michigan. They lived past Hillsdale. My aunt had this book. In the back of it, I would read cases of Bigfoot stories in Ohio, Michigan, where they lived. And my uncle was an avid game hunter. He actually would hunt a couple times with Ted Nugent. So he would take me and my dad out, and I started learning about animal sounds and I love nature. But I was curious about Bigfoot. Never thought I'd be a researcher. But if you want to pick that book up, maybe the library has it. That's a great book. This is my mentor. Some of you probably know this man. This is Don Keating. He started the Ohio Bigfoot Conference in 1989. He started being a researcher in 85. I met him in 1995, took me under my wing, showed me everything I knew. Then everybody knows where this place is at, Saltport State Park. It's not too far from here. I actually was with a researcher from Pennsylvania. Rocks happened back a long time ago in 2005, 6, 7. So I started doing this a long time. Up here, you'll see pictures of stuff. This is from Coshocton County. 2008, I actually found my first track discoveries. This is Miami County. This is Mike's area. And later, you'll see this up here too. This is Adams County, the area we go. So I've been doing this a long time before I met this guy. Next slide there, Mike. So one thing I love, if you guys are like into the Finding Bigfoot expedition, go back and do your research of old times. This stuff's been going on since the 1800s, probably before that. This is a story of a gorilla in Ohio, Gallus Police. If you guys know where that is, kind of close to the Mothman area, is excited over a wild man who's reported to haunt the woods near that city. He goes naked, he's covered with hair, gigantic in height, and big eyes. This story is actually on the Monster Quest episode of Ohio Grassman. I always have a few notes I've done from newspaper clippings. And this is kind of significant of the area we go. This is from the Cleveland Plain Dealer, May 27, 1897. Charles Logans and Bob Forner of West Union, Ohio, that's Adams County, saw a wild man described as a gorilla-like near Rome. The two men were cutting timber when they claimed to have struggled with an 8-foot-tall creature in the rocky area by the Ohio River. This is the Moretta Register, June 7, 1897. The wild man who created so much terror several weeks ago has been seen again. women and children around Rome, West Union, are afraid to come out of their house because people are seeing this. And this is from William Billity's book. This is a real book from the 1800s, Buckeye Boyhood. The author tells a tale of growing up in Ohio and describes seeing a gorilla-like creature. These are more stories. This is from the 1930s. Kind of like Mike was talking about Shawnee area where we go, that's 63,000 acres. In the early 1930s, a 10-year-old boy, George Johnson of Portsmouth, Ohio, lived near Shawnee, looked out his window and what he described was an overgrown gorilla walking upright on two legs. So there is stories all the way back from the 1800s. I have newspaper clippings from the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. So these things have been here for a long time and people have seen these things. There's some of the stuff in the newspaper and stuff. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, before we go to my story, we're gonna wrap some stuff off. Any of the cup, please. You people at home don't get to win anything.
What? What?
This is one of the last ones. I think that's okay.
Yep. We got two prizes. Yeah, like we do, we like to just thank everybody for coming here. And this is the new, if you guys ever noticed, the Dr. Squatch. This is soap, 8-foot soap. No.
You don't win, it's her fault. Well, I'm gonna have to put my eyeballs on to see this. I had to do the bifocals this year. As of the suspense, sorry about that. Okay, last four numbers, 4556.
Everybody see their number?
4, 5,
Oh, I'm
5,
sorry.
6.
Sorry. Turn the light on so you can read the number.
4, 5, 5, 6.
Ah, give him that soap there. Here you go. This is a good documentary movie, it's called Pursuit of a Legend.
All right. Okay, last four are 4550 for you old timers, 4550.
Oh. This is a new book from Buckner, since we own a library. I love Bigfoot books. This is Bigfoot, UFOs, and the paranormal.
Now it's your turn to get in trouble. Paul? You grabbed one once, we threw somebody's prize back in there. It's Paul, big time. 4577.
Oh.
All right, we'll do more prizes later.
All right, my name's Mike Miller. I've been doing this quite as long as Mike. Got my start because of, I watched all the shows and stuff when I was younger, and I thought, if Bigfoot's real, there's no way it's in Ohio, because watching Channel 7 News, I was living near Dayton at the time. Channel 7 News had a story about a Bigfoot sighting in Ohio, which I thought was ridiculous. I thought, Ohio just doesn't have enough woods or something like that. So I thought, they're probably drunk, stoned, probably a deer, but kind of got me interested. So I'm up late one night and I decide to get online, start looking up about Bigfoot in Ohio. And I stumbled into the BFRO website. So I thought, okay, I'll check this out. So I click on it, and I think there's only gonna be a story or two, but when I click on Ohio, it drops down to reports by county. I about fell out of my chair. So I'm like, didn't get a lot of sleep that night, so I'm going through this, I'm reading the stories, and a lot of them made me laugh. A lot of them I thought was crazy, smoking dope, whatever, it's a deer, it's a coyote, whatever. But a couple stories kind of hit me, kind of jolted me. And one of those was because growing up, he was a German Shepherd, so partial post, 17 years. And this guy said he didn't know what was in his backyard, but his 5-year-old male German Shepherd came through the glass door on the front there to get back in the house, ran to the furthest point away in the house, curled up and peed itself. Those dogs do not do that. So that got my attention. So I keep strolling through stories and stuff and read a few more, which eventually led me to someone who had a website, and they're sending me blurry pictures. I'm like, come on. And started kind of hanging out with these people. I call them the day stalkers, because they wouldn't go out at night. But George Taylor took me out and he showed me, we would hike off the trail. Don't do that, kids. And he would show me the difference between storm damage and not storm damage. Tree snaps, HUDs and all that stuff they make, those pictures of like over here. And all that eventually led me to running into this guy because of a mutual friend. So they invited me on a night hike. And I thought, okay, yeah, I've never done that. Scratch it off the bucket list. So we go on a night hike. And we go, does anyone know where East Fork State Park is? And out toward Batavia, out that way. Okay, well, we go out there. And $50 fine for being late. Okay. But anyway, we go out there. It's raining, it's October, which seems to be like a special month for Bigfoot, because that's when stuff in 2014 happened in October. Same kind of night, drizzly, rainy, not too warm, and we hike back in there about maybe a couple miles. And I'm kind of along for the ride when I'm still on the fence with all this stuff. And Mike and Mark do some, they do wood knocks, they do howls. I don't hear nothing. Nothing's happening. We stay a couple hours. And Mark says, hey, this is go, nothing's happening. And I'm like thinking, hey, this is great. I went on a night hike, looks like I'm gonna survive it. All good. And in about 2 minutes into that walk out of there is where my life changed with this. Because as we're heading out, here comes a rock, my first one ever, my first rock. And this thing is big, I'm gonna guess between bigger than a softball, not as big as a bowling ball, but you know it's coming, even though we have no light on, it's pitch dark. As it's in flight, it is over our heads, hitting tree branches and snapping them. Not bouncing off of them, snapping. It hit a tree right over by me, loud crash, hits the ground and rolls into a grin, I can hear it. And I'm like, wow. And I'm petrified actually. And I'm thinking, I'm not gonna get out of here tonight. I'm not gonna see my son back here grow up. And I got really worried because I'm in the back of the line, and any of you that have seen horror movies, you know what happens to the dude in the back of the line. That's me. So we had another half hour, 40 minutes to walk out of there. Halfway through that, there's a pinch point on this trail. I thought, oh my God, that's an pinch point. Sure enough, we got close to that. There comes another rock from a different direction. Same thing, we're ducking down and sailing over our heads. And from that point on, I said the Lord's Prayer under my breath from that moment until we got to the road, if you want to call it that, with the trail back out. And I literally knelt down and kissed the ground because I was happy to be out in the woods. And I kind of retired. And when I did retire, I had like a year to think about it. I went through some trouble at home, and I kind of think, and I thought, I'm not done with this. There's something there. People work. I work at UPS to make fun of me. Oh, I had somebody in the woods. I'm like, people are just on hand in the woods at 2 or 3 in the morning to, mess with you. Yeah, I'm sure. You get paid by the state to do that. I'm not giving up on this, but a walking stick and a 3-inch knife were going to cut it anymore. So I did get my concealed carry permit. But there's my son. He wanted a picture because he missed out on the night when we were all together. So that, it's not cost me gray hairs, but that's my story, and that's our quarry right there. It's Bill Irwin artwork. She's worked for the police department who did witness sketches, and she actually sketched that. Let's see what's next. Oh, let's do this part first.
Yes.
Okay, as far as Tearing the Woods, these woods are haunted. It's kind of the same show, different names. You guys remember, or have you seen the episode called Devil Monkey? You were indecisive last time. Okay, we'll cut you some slack on this one. Anyway, that's the Valley property. Well, it's not anymore, we moved. But the people they met at the library was us. The people that produced that show didn't want to give us credit because they wanted all new people. But the audio they play is ours, and they kind of give us credit at the end when the credits are rolling. But they met us at the library. She was in tears. She said, "We need to come to my property. This thing's here, it's screaming." And, you know, she since forced her husband Jesus to sell the property. They live in the city. She said she will never live in the country again. The story is Jonathan. He's like, what, 6'4" now, farm boy. Him and his friends, when they were younger, were up in a tree. They built a clubhouse. And one of his friends, looking through the wood there, seen something in another tree looking at them. And chased them. Then her husband actually cut pretty much all the trees out from where that happened to their house to try to keep this thing backed off. But it didn't back off. It actually attacked the horse, raped it, attacked their other animals. But this is some of the audio we recorded at that location. Even Ellis has analyzed this. This is not a dog. This is not a coyote. This is not a person pretending to be something. This is unknown creature. This next is a reply here. Background. David Ellis said every living thing communicates in a hertz band. He said a coyote is 900 to 1200. It's never below, never above. This thing we recorded that matches other unknown recordings across the United States is between 350 and about 850. That's what he was able to tell us. We are going to do another couple more rapids. After the rapids, you guys want to do a restroom break? I know there's some younger children in the audience. You guys need to do that?